Welcome back to the Transform Your Wellness podcast, a space where we explore the powerful connection between body, mind, and spirit. What it truly means to awaken to your highest potential. I'm your host, Karin Hagberg, and today I'm really honored to welcome back a very special guest and dear soul sister, Danelle Boyles. Danelle is a humanitarian educator, holistic practitioner, artist, consciousness coach, and founder of Emotions in Arts Healing Studios. With a background spanning decades in education and a deep devotion to healing and human transformation, Danelle has dedicated her life to helping others navigate life's challenges with greater awareness, compassion, and purpose. If you have listened to our previous conversations together, you'll know that we don't tend to stay on the surface. We dive into the deeper questions of life, awakening and healing, peace amidst uncertainty, ancestral patterns, and what it means to consciously evolve during these extraordinary times. In today's episode, Above the Noise, Rising into Higher Frequencies, the aftermath of clearing karmic blueprint, we explore what happens after the deep inner work begins. What does life look like when old karmic patterns, inherited beliefs, and energetic imprints starts to dissolve? Why can the space after healing feel both liberating and unsettling? And how do we continue to rise into greater alignment, authenticity, and higher states of consciousness when the world around us feels louder than ever? So this conversation is an invitation to pause, tune in, and remember that healing isn't just about tune in and remember that healing isn't just about letting go of what no longer serves us. It's about creating space for who we are becoming. So whether you are here with us on Facebook, you're walking in nature, you're sitting quietly with a cup of tea, driving to work, or simply taking a moment for yourself, I invite you to take a deep breath, open your heart, and join us for another profound and soul expansion conversation. This is the Transform Your Wellness podcast, and I would love to welcome you, Danelle, back again for some amazing conversations here. So welcome back. How are you been?
Hello, thank you. That you always do such a wonderful introduction, and you make me feel, you know, as a human, I feel very human every day, even though I have transformed and overcome and done many things in life that are considered out of the ordinary. For me, every day is, a moment to extend ourselves out of the ordinary. So your introductions always make me feel kind of like a superhero. But thank you. Karin, it's always a pleasure to join you for a conversation. And like you said, anytime we get together to have these, they don't ever skim the surface of anything. We dive right in. We get to the nitty gritty and to the point of what the heck is going on in the world and with us. And when you asked me about topics, I thought, oh my gosh, we've talked about so many things and we talk about so many things every day online. But above the noise, rising into higher frequencies, the aftermath of clearing the karmic blueprint. It's a very emotional topic, and it brings this stirring of individuals, asking why did we have to go through all of that? Why are we still going through all of this? Why are we having to go through such a tremendous amount of work to rise into these higher frequencies, that everyone talks about, and all of the challenges and all of the noise, because as individuals who are moving through it, it's a very noisy world, especially for those who are channelers, and they channel for all of the individuals who are going through it. It's a very noisy world. So this is going to be an interesting conversation as always. But thank you for having me on. I've loved watching everything that you've been doing lately. I'm very intrigued with all of the frequency machines, that you're utilizing. And I find this for an individual that does frequency work readily, like with her body and with her energy and with her hands. My first inclination was, you know, I do a lot of the same work that these machines are doing just with my energy work, but there's so many individuals that can't connect to that aspect. So they need this equipment to help them break through those barriers
Mm.
of what we take for granted, and so it really takes a lot of like wrapping your mind around understanding all of the newer age things that are coming about, such as the equipment
Mm.
that you're promoting and using. And
Mm.
so I really love that, because there's a lot of individuals that I cannot reach because my frequency is too high. And I know that sounds a little bit I don't know, otherworldly, but in all honesty, it's the truth. There are a lot of individuals that I cannot reach now because my frequency is too high. So we need other ways to assist individuals.
Mm.
So I just wanted to share that with you, above, everything else, that I think it's pretty great. Mm.
Yeah. And I just want to say very briefly, Danelle, it's interesting you saying that and picked up on that because it is a wonderful tool for people to actually keep the frequency up and actually
Yeah,
expanding their consciousness more. So
yeah.
it is something that is really needed at the moment. Um,
Hmm.
I've seen the shifts of people, and I'd see myself too, how it's helping me also stay grounded in this,
Hmm.
on the other hand, very, very high frequency world. And as you say, you hold very high consciousness and very high light. Um, I just want to go back to just very quickly. There's people here that are meeting you or seeing you for the first time. Can you just share a little bit, very short, about you and explain a little bit about that from an energetic point of view? Can you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's even for myself, there's so much work, knowledge, experience that is, behind me that I'm coming back into almost like a wraparound. It's kind of like we had to go do all of this work to re-meet ourselves. And, um, a lot of individuals have kind of forgotten who they are along the way. And so there is kind of like a homecoming back to yourself. But I'm Danelle Boyles in the United States. I have developed this life purpose of the legacy that I want to leave is to just have this world be such a better place to be in energetically. And as an individual that kind of took a conscious vow, with so many different parallels to help make that happen. I have done a lot of work globally with many organizations, educational institutions, doing channeled healings, clearings, groundings, integrations, and a lot of these things I'm saying to individuals, they won't have any idea what it means, but it's all based on healing and helping the world and bringing us collectively into a better, a better place energetically. And so by doing the work that I have done, that I was so driven to do, with whether it has been through educating free classes globally and in places like Africa or, Soviet Georgia, Turkey. I've educated with school students, educators, professors. I mean, you doctors, and it's even mind-boggling to myself, some of the work that I've done when I look back and, when I see all of the accolades, and that, I've gained, um, things like rewarded doctorates for my work. And it's like, me. So I overwhelm myself sometimes, Karin. Because when it boils right down to it, I'm still just a human here doing all of this work, and I'm learning, and I'm also doing the work myself along the way, so it's amazing and blissful and overwhelming and a learning experience all the way around, and I really don't, I don't know how much more to explain it, to just be, understood than that it's just a ridiculous experience living this life.
Yeah. Just before we started this, I looked back when we did the last interview, and I believe it was nearly 10 months ago. If
Has
it
it been that long?
maybe I'm wrong, but it was quite a while
Oh
ago
my
now.
gosh.
Time is really, we said at the time that we're going to continue and do episodes to help people along this journey we're going through now, and yeah, it's
Mhm.
I can't believe it. We were talking about opening doors and closing old ones, one episode, and then we spoke about the new energetic frontier, CERN, Atlas, and the quantum jump. That was the
Oh,
interesting one
and
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's new developments on a lot of those even here recently
yes.
that just are mind-boggling. Yeah.
Yes, I have tuned into that as well, Danelle. There's big stuff going there, but we don't want to really go there right now.
Right.
I
Maybe
want
another
to
time because it's a whole another conversation.
exactly. I want to ask you, when you hear the phrase rising into higher frequencies, what does it actually mean to you in everyday life?
My perspective of that is going to be very different than the traditional perspective. Um, I was gifted with the ability to be able to view, see, and experience time, space, and a very different form than what most people, even individuals who have gone through massive awakening. So for me, the idea of frequency is more than just a variable of sound or energy. Um, Whenever I see my perspective of higher frequency, it is not just a level of energy, it is an actual world. Um, our existence is based on multiple levels of functional frequency, and each one vibrates at an attunement that increases physical health, emotional health, abundance, our the way our world functions, the way it even looks. And so, there are new studies that are actually, proving and grounding what we've been saying for years as individuals who experience this. And so higher frequency for me is it's a conscious level, and depending on where you are consciously is where you experience and what you experience and the different variables you experience. When you're super conscious and when you're very hyper aware, you see these differences everywhere you go, and and it can be whether it's color spectrums that you see or how your community looks, how individuals look, characteristics change in these different variables, and no longer is it considered something that you have a mental illness because you have a different perspective of what reality looks like. They're finally starting to ground proofing that this is in fact real. And, I'm, for one, very grateful for that because, when you're looked at as an individual that sees, feels, and experiences these things, you don't want to be doubted for your gifts,
Mm. It's a very interesting thing, and that came to me many, many years ago. Always felt through myself, my intuition, that people that suffer some things like schizophrenia, for example, and all these things, that they actually very, very gifted. They tune into things
Very
like
gifted individuals.
extremely,
Yeah.
extremely gifted. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sitting here smiling a little bit because I can very much relate to you. And
Yeah.
sometimes when we say, I shouldn't say black sheep is not the right thing, but you,
Yeah.
in some ways, it can be a little bit lonely journey in some ways.
Yeah.
And to
And
be,
it's challenging,
yeah.
and if I can reflect for just a minute on, the fact that you did bring up schizophrenia, um, I might also clarify that individuals who experience schizophrenia and experience an interdimensional concept aren't always attuned to the higher planes. So, this is why a lot of times, whenever individuals who have schizophrenia and experience negative experiences, they're attuning to darker planes of existence where it's not so pleasant in lower frequency existences.
Mm,
If they're tuned more into the higher frequency existences, it's not as unpleasant, but they calibrate to a different attunement than what most people do. So it's not always a pleasant experience for an individual that has
mm,
um you know a conscious, and I don't even like to call it an impairment. I don't like to call it an illness. I
mm,
don't like to call it a disability because, all of these things are things that have been taught that are negative that need to be reframed so that their experiences are better understood and better managed and handled. It still has to be
mm,
recognized, but I don't like it when it's referred to as
mm,
disabilities or impairment or something that's,
yeah,
a terribly negative experience.
yeah. Hey, when we talk about the karmic blueprint, what are we actually referring to?
Oh, it's a deep one, Karen. The karmic blueprint is basically your life path in every life that you have chosen to exist on Earth, and what you are going to experience in order to challenge yourself to learn. That is what the karmic blueprint is. And everybody has one, whether you believe in it or not. You came to Earth, you wanted to learn this or that, you wanted to experience this or that. This is your karmic blueprint. Here you go live your life, learn what you need to learn. But somewhere along the way, our karmic blueprint got convoluted and kind of hijacked, if you will, by a lot of negative forces that utilize our experiences in a negative impact for their benefit. This is something that, you know, I don't talk on often because, as a person, I tend to just I live my life, I experience my things, I go about, and do what I need to do. And whenever the topic comes up, we talk about it, we share about it, we educate other people that want to learn things. But otherwise, I don't like hound on it. I don't really pay a lot of attention to, other than this is just the knowledge that I have and this is the experience that I have. But it goes even back to and this is going to hit a sensitivity on a lot of individuals who are religious. But it even goes back to when Jesus walked with the disciples and when he, you know, did his crusade you know, uh, with the Mary Magdalene, and is essentially the same thing. When Jesus cleared all of our sins so that we could be saved again, this is the exact same thing. Jesus cleared the karmic blueprint of the entire world with his crusade of individuals so that we can start fresh. But it keeps getting disrupted and our world keeps getting interceded by things because individuals and I have people tell me all the time, Danelle, you're going to wind up getting yourself put on a blacklist because of the things you talk about. But I'm like, this is what I'm here for. And I channel every single word that I say. It's important, and it helps individuals understand that they need to stand in their own grounding of their own consciousness to understand, what's happening and what you need to do in order to move through it. But karmic blueprint is essentially washing away and clearing everything that is keeping us from moving into a conscious state. And when Jesus did it, it had advanced us 2,000 years into future conscious concepts. When we started doing it 6 years ago, it advanced us into 2,000 or 3,000 years into future conscious concepts. And it happens almost like a system update every so many thousands of years. You have to look outside of your human self to be able to understand it. You have to understand like how we function in a matrix. You have to understand, it challenges people's thinking because it can almost break your brain sometimes to think that you don't just live in this simple little world on earth, that there's like a vast existence out there outside of you.
Mm.
So how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that?
Because I know
Well,
I throw a lot of
I can tell you it's getting more and more
yeah.
expensive every
I know.
day.
You're like, tell me
And
all the things, but no, wait, I don't know.
yeah,
Yes, tell me the things. Wait,
yeah,
because it's
no,
and it to be that expanded, it is
yeah. It's
it
right.
requires you to
It's
really
really riding for me.
grounded.
It's just riding the waves, and as I said, sometimes it it can be a very lonely journey when you go through a lot of
Yeah,
processing. And it happened as late as just this week for me again. Big shifts and realizations, and it is quite confronting. And that's where I got to sort of ground myself. I got to protect myself a lot. And be careful also who I speak with because, as much as it's nice to be able to, sometimes I feel like it's nice to have someone like yourself that kind of
yeah,
understands. But if you start to kind of, try to explain to anyone, it's just it's does worse things to me than better, if that makes sense. So
yeah. It's
uh,
sometimes it's easier to just mum's the word and to
yeah,
just sit on what you know.
yeah,
And I also have a very, very big concept. And I was actually just talking about this earlier in my class I attend because, what we obtain is not traditional knowledge.
no,
It's very advanced concepts.
mm,
And we we live in a world that's not ours consciously.
mm,
We are integrating it into, the space where we are considered weird and out there because we are weird and out there. Our consciousness it's not from here. And essentially we're guests in other people's worlds, and
mm,
in a sense we have to respect that they're not always on the same level as us and they're not going to understand. And
yeah,
although we're here to raise the frequency and to heal and clear. We're not here to force anybody to believe in things that they don't, or that they're not ready to, or that they're not consciously adapted to. And
It's something that
that
has
can be
to
very,
be lived through or experienced, I feel, Danelle, in many ways. And can I just ask, here's a question for you. What are some of the signs that someone is beginning to clear or rewrite their karmic blueprint? What are some of the signs?
yeah, a lot of the signs, are very overlooked because, and it's the idealism that you want to improve yourself, the concept of yourself. And that can come in many different forms, but that's generally the first inclination, is that you have this desire to either improve your habits, whether that is how you eat and take care of yourself, to how you mentally function in the world. That you want to be a healthier individual, whether it's for your relationships or for work, or just for, collectively for, your community. And another one is you may start feeling physical and conscious symptoms that are unusual. And those, we've talked very much about that for individuals who are already in the higher spectrum. But in the lower spectrum, those beginning attributes, you know, as much as people don't like to question their reality, they begin to question things. You begin to question things about always being a, a rule follower. You become a little bit of a rebel, and you go
Yeah.
against your own belief systems that have been built and ingrained in you.
Mm, mm,
You develop a little bit less of a tolerance for untruths.
yeah,
You
yeah.
develop a little bit less of a tolerance for individuals who, don't always act or behave appropriately, and you kind of start calling people out. So there's a lot of different things that can be telltale signs that you are going through a bit of a conscious change,
But
emotionally.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, Danelle, that I feel and I see and feel a shift universally or earthly here, that there is a big shift in consciousness. A lot of people are starting
Oh,
to
yeah.
look after their bodies, their mind. They're starting to ask it bigger questions. So it's happening at a rapid place now, I feel. Um, but many people focus on the healing process itself, but what about that aftermath math of it? What tends to happen after we start to release those old wounds and patterns? Can you talk about that a little bit? Because, that's not always an easy place to be.
No, no, it's not. And whenever you start to go through trauma release and revisiting where you need to heal yourself, that creates those patterns. It makes you revisit fragmented parts of yourself. And, I'm not a psychologist, but I understand the psyche and I understand the conscious cycles on a level that most individuals don't. So I try very much not to speak out of term. Everybody has their own individual path and understanding and their need, whether they follow allopathic care or traditional, you know, holistic care. So it just depends on the individual. But whenever you're going through, you know, you start to experience these little like dark night souls.
Mm.
And for, just beginners, it's a baby dark night soul. You have days that you really ruminate over things that you've experienced that cause you to develop the pattern behaviors that you do. You reminisce and revisit past experiences that caused you trauma. And it's not always pleasant, because in order to heal from it, you have to observe it, and you have to sit in it. And so that's where a lot of individuals do wind up having to utilize like mental health care, because sometimes it can just be too much, but there's other individuals that use holistic care, and they use things like sound healing or energy healing,
mm,
because there's many energy healers that can help you clear that
mm,
without it having a negative impact on you.
mm.
But
And
it's
yeah,
not easy.
it is not easy. And
No, it's
sometimes people can start to think it's something wrong with them, they shouldn't be feeling the way they're feeling.
right.
And there's kind of a grieving process of, letting go of that version of ourself that we're literally outgrowing. And yeah, that's what happens when we expand our consciousness. I can see something behind you. Is that a
I was
cat?
gonna say, I don't have a dark entity behind me. It's just my black cat.
I've been looking at that and I thought, is that your son walking?
I have a dark entity leaving my body. Just kidding.
Ah,
But
dear, that's
but
funny.
yeah, and it's not easy because you know m- we're programmed to think that life is supposed to be perfect and idealistic, and that we're not supposed to have physical or emotional elements. We're not, we're and if you do, you're labeled as there being something very wrong with you. Like
Yeah.
you have this horrible diagnosis, or you have this horrible mental health
Mm,
illness, and it's completely all misunderstood, misinterpreted, and consciously misaligned with what we're supposed to understand about our human design, you
mm.
know,
There can be so much
and
judgment around it. And whilst we're going through, me, myself including, when I've gone through both physical and it's interesting people's perception of it. And
yeah.
I have to myself very much shield myself from those outside kind of opinions and judgments because
Hmm.
that is not really very helpful in the process. A lot of the
No.
time for me anyway. But um, so what practices help you personally to return to your own truth when it becomes, really, really overwhelming? What do you sort of do?
Well, Karen, as somebody that has been a frontliner for the last at least 7 years, not only doing my work, but doing work for other individuals who have not been able to do the work themselves, but they've made this contract vow that they're moving forward and they're going to hold the line. It can be very heavy. And as an intuitive channeler, I'm very fortunate that going through, the initial like push of laying the frequencies ahead. You have to clear the path, and you're clearing the path not just consciously but physically. It can be a very overwhelming, and I became a friend of understanding myself, what I was experiencing, and how I needed to balance and create an environment for me to be able to do it effectively while surviving it. And survival is a word that truly, in every sense, that individuals who are frontlining, you're surviving a process that has never been humanly done before. And when I channel this information, I'm very fortunate because I'm always told exactly what my body needs, exactly how I need to accommodate myself or others in order to process a shift. But you have to become a friend of rest,
Mm,
first of all,
yeah.
and of self-care, and of being able to be open-minded about yourself. Like
Yeah.
it's very important, but I utilize breathing techniques, mm, reminding yourself you have to be able to remain tethered to both ends of your spectrum at all times. and understand that when you are here, you
Mm.
will return to here. The concept that you are going to be forever stuck in a lower frequency and a lower consciousness is probably the hardest part of individuals clearing their karmic blueprint right now, is that they feel like what they are experiencing is where they're going to be stuck at, that they're stuck in, basically they're stuck in human purgatory, like
Yeah.
that's the biggest fear of the collective right now. And
Mm.
I'm sure
Mm.
you can understand and relate,
Oh,
it's
absolutely. It's
you
certainly
know
hit me. And sometimes I
yeah.
monitor where I am. I start to think, where am I on this
Hmm.
awakening journey on the level of consciousness? Where am I? Am I actually on you wouldn't even know what timeline you're on. Do you know what I mean? There's a higher timeline.
No.
Unless you live
And
it, you don't even know.
yeah.
So that trips me out sometimes, only
Yeah.
sometimes. And then, and just like yourself, I have had to resort and surrender into rest a lot more. And also
Yeah.
breath. Breath is a big one. And obviously for me, the frequencies that I'm doing too, which is interlinked with all of that rest
Right.
and the frequencies. But very, very important. And I was thinking the other day, I'm house sitting this beautiful house here. I'm like at a retreat. I'm doing infrared red sauna every day for 19 days,
That's awesome.
magnesium baths. I'm sheltering myself a little bit from the outside world. Um,
Hmm.
Really expand a lot more. Um, I don't know what I was going with this, but I lost the thread. Um,
It's
but
okay.
yeah,
That's
but
how our conversations go sometimes.
yeah, but I definitely shield myself from the outside to be able to
Mhm.
stay and evolve more to higher consciousness levels. And it was very interesting during the week that I had a big shift and big realizations. And when I say big realizations, it's big realizations of my own karmic blueprint. And that was really quite confronting. So it's very interesting. So
Mhm.
let's see. You
And
know,
that, if I may
yeah,
interject just a moment,
yeah,
is you rising above the noise.
yeah.
Your need in order to isolate, to self-care while the rest of the world is going through something that you can't really be a part of,
Mm,
is you rising above the noise for the
mm,
moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. What do you think humanity is being invited to learn during this period of immense change of consciousness?
I don't know. That's such a vast concept. Just humanity in and of itself. I mean, relearning, why we are here. And it's not for living a life of punishment. It's not for living a life of struggle, although, we want our challenges to help us learn along the way. We were not meant to live in a world of absolute chaos, and we weren't meant to live in a world of such a dysphoric opposite of dystopia. Like, we're meant to just live in a world that we're able to thrive and experience, the vastness of what we can learn in it without being destroyed as individuals.
Mm,
And
mm,
that's part of the karmic blueprint, is that there has been brought in, so much negativity and dark matrix,
mm,
which is another conversation that has been revealed through CERN, that they're very well aware that they have opened dark matrix and that it has bled into our reality. So
mm, mm,
they've established that they know that we are being observed by other realities as well.
mm, mm. Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, to have very high consciousness and to be able to kind of monitor our thoughts on a second by second basis.
Yeah.
If we could become more and more aware and be so in tune with what's going on, that obviously is going to change and shift the reality we have around, because it starts within us. We're basically a mirror to the outside world, aren't we? But then we're also being influenced by what you were just talking about CERN and that. That's a, it's a really fascinating concept. There's part of it that we kind of can control and create, but there's part of it that's also we're being so challenged by these
Yeah.
darker forces. Um, so if people are feeling fear about the future, what message of hope would you offer them?
Fight the fear because you are the creator of the future. And in order to manipulate and create the future, you have to be able to reestablish control of the now.
Yeah, yeah.
And that fear is sometimes a learning tool, but it has been put in place as a manipulation tool.
Mm, mm,
And the world is manipulated by fear because fear is easy to control. Individuals who are in fear are easy to control. And so, we're breaking down that system of fear
mm,
that is almost like, in the sense of a fear cage, that, we're breaking down that concept so that we live in a less fearful world. But
mm.
just, remember you have control over your own thoughts when you realize that you have control over your own thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah,
Interject, reframe,
yeah,
utilize conscious awareness,
yeah,
you know, realize when it is not your own thought that is creeping in, because
yeah.
it's not always your own thoughts that's creeping in. Sometimes it's projected upon you.
Mm, mm. And that's where it all starts. Again, to me, it comes down to that consciousness is awareness. And once we become more aware of our own thoughts and how our thoughts then the next step obviously is the emotions they create. And then after that, it affects our actions. But I feel a sense of a little bit of a hidden, sneaky fear that can be amongst all of us, even the aware ones.
Mhm.
And sometimes I pull myself up, Danelle, and I go, whoa,
Oh
there was
yeah, and
the
myself included. Yeah,
fear. And
very.
it's fascinating, hey? What do you believe that, uh, if we were to truly live from the heart all the time, and if we could drop all the fear, what do you think would become possible within yourself and also this world?
Well, I mean, it would be euphoric, and it would be a world of, you know, the imagined, Eden, like
Mm,
it would be, but is, even myself as an individual that is very aware of, the balances. Do we want to live in a completely perfect world? Do we not want to be challenged a little bit? This is my own concept of shadow and light that creeps in sometimes. You
mm.
know, yeah, it would be nice to live in a perfect world, but
Would it really?
will we, but would we miss some of those concepts of learning, So, I personally don't believe that the absolute perfect world exists,
Mm,
because it's something that has to be created, and I don't know if the world is ready for
mm,
that. I don't know if they're ready to let go of all of their hangups and shadows, and
Mm.
But I don't know. We shall see. 2030 is the projected um, date for our final transition. So,
Mm. It's not long, and time speeding up, everything's speeding up. I feel like every waking moment I have,
oh
a
yeah.
little bit of sleep is continuous work. And um,
Hmm.
yeah, it's an interesting concept sometimes. Some people say, "Oh, what are you going to do today? Are you working today?" And I don't even know how to answer the question, Danelle, because not that I call life work, but I say everything is moving me to higher frequencies
Yeah.
and consciousness every day. So I don't just sit here. It's a continuous kind of process from now on, and it's
Hmm.
speeding up and speeding up and speeding up. That's how it is
Yeah.
for me anyway. And it's a dedication. I think it's a decision also to be in this space of awakening. What do you reckon? Is it a decision too that, I'm not here to play small. I'm here to actually step into my authenticity, my truth, and my freedom. And the words that always come to me, Danelle, is this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
It's like Michael
Yeah.
Jackson, isn't that his last movie? This is it.
I've been told many times, that this is my, like what I am doing here now is like my final, like main incarnation here on earth. And so collapsing all of those lifetimes from when we began to, the future final product, is what it's all about. And we have a home frequency that we are
Mm, mm,
returning to, we're returning to it. And there's so many of us that are just chomping at the bit, ready to be there, like
mm, mm.
permanently.
Yeah,
But there's still so much work being done between now and then.
yeah.
And we're still cycling life cycles.
Mm,
Even in this one life cycle, we are cycling many life cycles all at the same time as we clear this to get back to that home frequency.
mm,
Because home frequency essentially is basically like heaven on earth. And it is,
mm,
the highest frequency of, you
mm,
know, our our current possible anchoring.
mm. Or I've always felt myself intuitively, I think we got it all wrong. I really do feel that we are in paradise. And that's why I say it's another day in paradise. And
Yeah.
it's funny, we have this human experience, and a lot of the time we go through life uh, and we miss the whole experience of being human
Yeah.
being and just being and experiencing and allowing ourselves to feel, what we feel. And yeah, I really truly believe
Hmm.
we can surrender to that.
Yeah. And
We're in a
I think
different.
that's probably one. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that was always that was one of my own faults going through this process, is being so consumed at first with the idea of where we were going,
Mm,
um, that you forget to stop and just
yeah.
recognize that you're in a human experience. This is still your experience. And
Mm.
my guides all the time would like give me signs. I don't listen to my guides very well at all. I am
You're a rebel, are you?
I I am an absolute rebel. I'm a very good rule following rebel, but I am a rebel. I don't like to get in trouble, but I will certainly push the line. But they tell me all the time, you're ruining your human experience. And I'm like, what do you expect? I'm like, do you see where I am consciously? Like, how am I supposed to stay grounded in my human experience when, like, I'm just like, I want to be back in my home frequency, you know? Like, it's very hard to, it is almost comedic because they're like, you're ruining it. And I'm like, how do I not? I'm not from here.
Yeah.
Like, It's like because and it's funny because like when we've gone through groundings, when we've grounded like new timelines, I'll be I'll come home from work and I'll go walk out in the park for a few minutes just to breathe because at the end of the day, whenever you finish where you've been grounded in a place for a long period of time, you go through a lot of processes when you then unground and you move into like your next time
Mm,
cycle. And
mm,
I'll just stand in the park and I'm gonna be and I have to be like, this is not where I'm supposed to be.
mm.
I'm like, and then I'm just like, deep breath because you're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly where you're
Yeah,
supposed to be in the now moment. Like and it's very difficult concept for some individuals to just be in
yeah.
their experience because they want to be here. They want to be here. They want
Mm,
to be,
mm,
they want to be where they're going already,
mm,
but not enjoying their experience and where they are right now.
mm.
Be in the now. That's the only
I
place you
mean,
can do.
absolutely being in the now is the key to life, isn't it? And when we are in the now, I think we deal with things in a much healthier way. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of depression out there, which is projecting, forward or going back in the past. And any tools and anything we can do to ground ourselves is the key, I believe, to be in the now because we deal with things actually
Right.
very well in the now. Myself, I love nature. I like going out in the forest. I'll be going to Sweden soon, Danelle, and I'll be
So excited
reconnecting.
for you.
Yeah, I see myself already going to visit the forest. There's some pine trees that I actually, with my own hands, planted with my family that are big trees now. I'm going to go back into the forest. Yeah, I
Wow, what
planted
an
trees.
experience.
And, forest, it's for rest, forest for rest. So I'm going to go to the forest for some rest
Morris.
and I'll be deeply
I love that.
connected. And that's where I find my peace. And
Hmm.
yeah, I encourage everyone to do so. I know we can be talking to forever, Danelle. There's just a
Certainly can.
few things before I wrap it up here. You
Hmm.
say you work as a frontliner. I just want to say, I mean, some people go, what's a frontliner? What is it the same as a chosen one? Is it the same as a light worker or a channeler? Just very, very
You know,
briefly, the concept of that, because there's a lot of talk in the world right now. I'm a light worker, I'm a this, I'm that, you know.
yeah. For me, um, as I moved into a very sovereign space of understanding and seeing the concept of all of those labels and titles from outside the box, as a light worker, channeler, an oracle, all of those things, they're all concepts of what we, make of them. And a chosen one, uh, the term chosen one really, I don't know, kind of grinds me a little bit because
We all
despite
chosen
our,
ones, aren't we?
yeah, like everyone is entitled to have the
Yeah.
same experiences. It's just whether they choose to take it. We
Yes,
are the chosen ones because we chose to take it. We
absolutely.
chose, yeah, we chose to take this path. We weren't chosen by God. We weren't chosen by a higher source. We literally said, I'll do it and I'll do whatever it takes to get the job done,
Yeah.
And so that means putting you through the earthly meat grinder at high speed velocity of conscious learning and physical elements of transitioning very rapidly through human evolution. That's what it means, but it means different things to every individual depending on who they are, what their life path is, where they are in their conscious journey, where they are in their religious journey. it's different for everyone, but most of them speak from ego.
I was just gonna say, I just
They
love the
do.
answer to that question, and it is so
Most
true.
of them speak from ego. And once you get through your whole entire process, you're like, God, sometimes I was an ass, like sorry for using the
Yeah,
language. But and there's sometimes it's like because your whole purpose here, even if you're going through that, is to help, not to be above anybody else, not to
that's right.
be a chosen one, although the definitive of it is that, you have a higher life path purpose, but it's because you chose to take it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anybody that chooses to do
Mm.
this is a little out of their mind, though. Their soul is their berserker, let me just tell you. Like but that's, and that's going to hurt some people's feelings, and I'm sorry,
Can you say that again?
but
Because can you say that last bit again?
berserker,
Ah,
berserker, yeah, individuals that choose to do this, they have gone through some stuff in their lifetimes, and that's, and I'm talking like thousands and thousands of years of experience, and you've accumulated like
mm,
tons of conscious knowledge, and you're integrating that all now, and the experiences all now. You're integrating literally hundreds of lifetimes
mm,
now. And that's a big long answer, but yeah, and a lot of it comes from ego.
yeah,
We all want to be special, we all,
yeah.
and we are special, but
We are all
there's
special.
lots of people
Yeah.
out there.
And
We're all special.
And you know what? If we're going to evolve consciously, it's we can't have division. We all have a big purpose
Yeah.
here, all of us. And that's the beautiful thing. I always go in and I'm a curious person about where people come from. And there's always light if open yourself to see the light. And again, that's the fear consciousness that can creep in or the negative consciousness if you're not
Yeah.
if you're not open to seeing, if you shut something down straight away because of one little thing. It could be someone has said one little thing, and that person, through their perception, just forms an opinion, is not open to listen to what actually, yeah, it's very fascinating. But um,
Sorry.
the last question, yeah,
Man.
you've got such a beautiful cat there. Love it.
He thinks he's sneaky, but I'm like, no, Karen can see you. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. You can be
okay.
seen in the camera.
That's
He just crept in. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, I just want to finish it off, Danelle, asking you or get you to share a message to everyone, to all the listener, one important message that they can take with them today. Um, what would it be, that message that you want to send out to humanity right now?
I have so many messages, but if I have to boil it down to one,
One, just one.
it's just one, just one. Is you just have to find your own individual life path and rise above the noise. And that's it. You have to rise above the noise, because you're not going to be able to identify with yourself if you don't rise above the noise. And as always, don't fear learning and change. It's all amazing. The learning process and educating ourselves on, new pathways and purpose to abundance and to just lifelong like clarity of who you are is so important.
Mm.
And that's a message that can ramble on into another message, but I just do well, be well, and love each other no matter what state of consciousness you're in. Learn patience and understanding of your fellow human,
Mm,
because that is why you are here.
mm,
You are here to
mm.
help.
Yeah, that is beautiful message. The best message I think that we could possibly get this morning here in Australia and evening in
Yes,
Evansville,
good morning.
Indiana. So I'd like to thank you again, Danelle. What a pleasure. It's an hour we've been talking or slightly more.
It's my pleasure.
And I'd like to thank everyone that's been tuning in to that Transform Your Wellness podcast. It could be that you saw it live on Facebook, you saw it on YouTube, or you listened to it at Spotify or Podbean, wherever it is. You can reach out to myself or Danelle if you'd like to connect in with either of us. So, with that saying, thank you everyone for listening, and thanks to you again, Danelle. And you have a beautiful night.
Thank you very much,
And I
Karen.
look forward to
Thank you.
connecting in with you soon again.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.
Thank
Do
you.
well, be well.
Bye.
Namaste.
Bye. Namaste.